Hello guys and welcome back to the channel and to kind of, I suppose, a tag video of sorts, kind of put together from a couple of different things. So I'm not going to tag people at the end. It's something I would love people to do if they see it and they think they may enjoy it. I love to sort of get people together in the community to sort of talk about stuff and to share opinions. Now, this originally came from a video that Leo from Geek Legion of Doom put out, and it was top 3 sort of things that people asked him. So people may have asked him, what's the 3 weirdest movies that you've ever seen? So Leo actually said in his video, if you guys want to make this a tag video and do similar questions, feel free. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So what I've done is I have taken the questions that Leo has been asked and I have added a few of my own. I've taken a couple out that I think there was one about most expensive movie memorabilia, which I don't have expensive movie memorabilia. Say that when you're drunk. Expensive movie memorabilia, I don't have any, so I left that question out. But I will link Leo's video at the end, and it will be in the description if I remember, but it will be linked at the end for sure. So this is called the top 3's of me tag. So obviously fire away if you want to do it. I'd love to see your answers, and obviously let me know if you've done it so that I can check it out. So the first one Leo was asked, which I have taken, is the top 3 weirdest films that you've seen. Now, this may not be as weird as what other people have seen, because something I've discovered is I have not seen very many weird movies. I think quite possibly because they just don't really appeal to me generally. So what I've listed is, for a start, one I saw last night, which is called Coco D Coco Da. I cannot put across to you guys how much I dislike this movie. Other people I know have recommended it and really enjoyed it, so don't take from me that it's no good. I just don't really like surreal, weird stuff. This is a movie about a couple are trying to come to terms with a traumatic event, and this basically movie is showing very surreally a way of representing them going round and round in circles trying to deal with this thing that's happened in their lives, and it's just put across very physically, like almost what's in their mind or like a certain situation. It tries to compare their situation to being stuck in the middle of almost like a nightmare. It didn't work for me. I didn't enjoy it. I will be talking about it on my what I watched next week, and I may go into a little bit more detail, but it was so weird, guys. So Coco D Coco Da. Following that, Antichrist, obviously Lars von Trier, and we know what to expect. Just some of the imagery in it was very weird, and I feel he does purposely try and put quite shocking scenes, even in some cases if they're not relevant, just to get people talking and just to show that representation that we're kind of taken back by. So I thought scenes of Antichrist were a bit unusual, but I don't think it's a bad movie, and I don't think it's not worth watching or anything like that. Pink Flamingos, we go back to 1972. John Waters. This is just a weird ass, really unpleasant movie. I wasn't a fan. I watched a video recently, I think it was Andy from Andy's Forgotten World of Movies, and it was movies that he would never watch again. And this was one he mentioned. I completely agree. Or maybe movies he would never own. Just a horrible movie, really weird. I know there will be those amongst you now that want to see it. Pink Flamingos, 1972. And the other one I've written down, and I know this means there's 4, but I wanted to give you one that I actually really enjoy, and that is Swiss Army Man. This has Daniel Radcliffe in, and this is a story of a man that gets marooned, I suppose, on a desert island, and he befriends a corpse that he finds there. I loved it. I thought it was delightful. It is weird as you like, but I loved it. So if you have not seen Swiss Army Man, check it out, folks. It's well worth a watch. So on to, now this one, Leo was asked what his top 3 Italian movies were. I'm going to tell you my top 3 Spanish, Japanese, Korean, French, and Italian, because why not? Because I love foreign cinema. So you may see these are a bit horror heavy, but that's what I tend to watch the most. I'm not going to talk about any of these at length because they're well-known movies and anyone watching this will be aware of them. If you hear something that you haven't heard of before and you like the other movies, please check out these movies because some of them are fantastic. So Spanish has to go to Pan's Labyrinth. I also put, is it REC or REC? REC in there, and I've put 2. I couldn't just come up with three. One was The Orphanage, which I think everyone has seen. One that's lesser seen, a Spanish movie, is called The Occupant. Not going to tell you anything about it. If you have not seen The Occupant, it's a Spanish movie. Please look it up, see if you can get your hands on it and watch it. It's really well worth a watch. So Japanese, I'm going with two very, very obvious ones here, purely because they were my introduction into Japanese cinema, and that is Battle Royale and the original Ring movie. I think it's just pronounced Ring. I don't think they use pronounce. Anyway, Ring. And Seven Samurai, which is an older black and white movie, which is just mad, but it is fantastic. So that's my top three Japanese. Korean, again, I couldn't give you three, so I'll just list the ones I've got here. Old Boy, which I love, Parasite, Train to Busan, and I Saw the Devil. I think everybody has seen all of those. The Host is another one. If you have not seen a movie about a sea creature called The Host, check it out. You will not regret it. It is fantastic. French, I had to mention Titan. I watched that thing twice in quick succession. It was so weird, but I could not stop thinking about it, so I had to watch it again, and the second time round I liked it even more, so I have to mention that one. Switchblade Romance, also known as High Tension, two different names in different countries, really sort of brutal horror movie, but amazing. What else have I mentioned? Obviously Martyrs. Martyrs is one of the best French horror movies out there. It really stays with you. Amazing film. And one that I put, this is meant to be top threes. There's certain things I can't give you three, but it doesn't take much longer to give you four. The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. Now this is not as well known a movie, and this is a true story. I've written the guy's name down here, Jean-Dominique Bobby. He had a stroke and he basically could only communicate by means of his left eye. And he actually has written this. This is his life story. It is really immersive. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful movie, and I would thoroughly recommend it if you haven't seen it. So that's A Diving Bell and the Butterfly. And lastly, Italian. Okay, so Life is Beautiful is one of my all-time favourite movies. I absolutely adore it. It's set during wartime. It's set in a concentration camp, which sounds awful. But this is the story of a man trying to make the whole experience a game for his young son. He doesn't want his son to realise what's happening, just the atrocities that they're suffering, and he's trying to protect his son from what they're going through. It's beautiful, and if you can watch it and not cry, kudos to you. So that's Life is Beautiful. Also, Cinema Paradiso. This is also set like in a wartime also, and we also start the movie with a young boy. I don't want to tell you much about it. It's about his relationship with a projectionist that shows old movies. It's a beautiful movie again, so Cinema Paradiso if you haven't seen that one. And the last one I left it with, I have to bring horror into it somewhere, was Zombie Flesh Eaters. Obviously we've got Fulci, the Italian director that I adore. I love Zombie Flesh Eaters. I'm a bigger Fulci than Romero fan. I know that's sacrilege amongst a lot of horror fans, but for me the rawness of Fulci's zombies just always worked better. I prefer him as a director. So Zombie Flesh Eaters. So that is my top three of all those languages. So next, top three movies you can rewatch anytime. I'll not spend ages telling you what they are. Misery, we all know how much I love Misery with Kathy Bates and James Caan. Cyrano, which just came to me in the last couple of months and I literally am in love with it. I'm listening to the soundtrack constantly. I'm buying it. I don't even collect physical media because I'm skint. I keep saying this. People think like people that don't collect physical media are mad, and what if it's taken off stream and you won't be able to see it? Some of us don't collect it purely not because we prefer streaming, but because we can afford to buy every movie we want. We're not all blessed in that respect, and I'm certainly not. So Cyrano I will buy. It's one of those movies that I just have fallen in love with and I must have. And the last one is See No Evil, Hear No Evil, that old comedy with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. No matter how many times I watch it, it's never not funny. If you can watch the mens rea gag in that and not at least smirk, honestly, you have no sense of humour. It's just amazing. Okay, so top three horror directors. I found this ridiculously difficult. Now, Quentin Tarantino isn't considered a horror director, and okay, he does a lot of schlock stuff and thrillers. I think he should be allowed into that horror realm when he's coming out with things like Dusk Till Dawn, some of the gore in the movies he's come out with. I'm putting Quentin Tarantino in there. A lot of you will disagree that he's not a horror director, but I'm putting him in there. Guillermo del Toro, I love his sort of fantasy world. I love his like dark fairy tale approach to things, sort of like a magical essence that he puts to things. Absolutely love him. So those two I couldn't not have on the list because they're two of my favourites. I've listed three others that I can't really individually separate. Jordan Peele, I'm adoring everything he's coming out with. He's relatively new on the scene. James Wan, obviously Saw, I think is just perfection. I love it. And he has done work since that has proved he has got the chops to be a really good director. And Fulci, who I mentioned earlier, I love Fulci's zombie movies, so he had to come in there as well. But Guillermo del Toro is probably my favourite director. Okay, we're getting there, folks. What have we got? Now these ones, there's one here that was on Leo's, and there's three that I've added. So the three that I've added are top three bands, because I'm as interested in music as I am in movies. I'm very much into my music. So three bands, top three gigs, top three countries I want to visit, and one that was on Leo's top three bucket list items. Or was it? Was it? You see, I've watched 3/4 of Leo's video. I'm watching it in bits when I get a chance. So anyway, top three bands. Two are very easy on this. Queen has always been my all-time favourite band. Obviously, we have no Freddie no more. It's not, to me, Queen anymore. As much as I really like Adam Lambert and I feel he fits perfectly, to me, Queen died when Freddie died. So, Queen. But we have to have a band that I can go see today, that exists, that are still together, and that would be Backyard Babies. They are a Swedish like punk band. There's something about the band that I fell in love with. Their energy, their enthusiasm, they give everything on stage to their fans. I've followed them for a lot of years now. I've seen them a lot of times and I just adore them. The third could be filled in by anyone that I am loving listening to at the moment. Those two stand out for me above others. My main preference in music is sort of rock, alternative. Some I've listed down. I like Aerosmith, Rainbow with Joel Turner. The Eagles, I like a bit of country here and there, but it has to be like country rock, AC/DC. When you get to lighter bands like Bon Jovi and Def Leppard, I only liked stuff they did way early in the career, not so much the later stuff. I like Type O Negative, 9 Inch Nails, Rammstein, just a lot of sort of rock alternative stuff. Okay, so top three gigs. My top three gigs are, now my favourite gig I've ever been to was a Rammstein gig. Rammstein are a German industrial rock band, for anyone that doesn't know. Their stage shows are phenomenal. There's just fire going off everywhere. There's fire coming off the end of guitars. There's fire coming up the top of the stage. There's someone being pushed about in a cooking pot around the stage with fire coming out. It's crazy, but it's just wonderful to watch. So the reason I picked this one is because when I went to see Rammstein in Manchester, the support band came on before and I didn't know who they were and I'd never heard of them. And it was a band called Apocalyptica. Apocalyptica are a band that play metal music on cellos. I kid you not, they came out at this concert for an industrial heavy rock band and two stools were on the stage and I'm thinking, what on under God's going on here? Two guys walked out, and there are more that came out later, and two really long-haired guys with cellos, and one part of me is thinking, what the hell's going on? Are we going to hear some chamber music? I was content by the fact there was at least two nice looking lads to look at, so that was fine. And then they started and I was blown away. I'd never heard of these guys. They get noises from those cellos that sound like rhythm, that sound like bass, that sound like screechy guitar. Everything they do is rock and it is phenomenal. So if you like rock at all and you've never heard of Apocalyptica, check them out. They're incredible. So just the shock of this band that I'd never seen. And it's funny, another one that I've picked is also because of how amazing the support were. So the next one is Tesla, who I saw a couple of times, but the gig I've picked is the Shepherd's Bush Empire in London. Tesla are an American rock band. They did an album called 5-Man Acoustical Jam. I love acoustic music. You can really get to the talent of a band when you hear them doing acoustic, and it's raw and it doesn't sound exactly like the album. Since I first heard that album, God, right back in my late teens, I have just longed to see Tesla, and they don't tour very much, but they did come, I don't know how long it was, maybe over 10 years ago, and I saw them in Shepherd's Bush Empire, and they were amazing. It was such a long wait, and it's one of those bands when you've wanted to see them for so many years and finally you do. So I was like really on a high from having seen them. So Tesla I will put as my number 2. And my number 3, bear with me, was The Darkness. Now you're thinking screechy, high-pitched voice, silly outfits. The Darkness live are a lot heavier and they're a lot better than what you may think they are. They're really accomplished musicians, and yes, Justin Hawkins has a very silly sort of like frontman persona. He wears really silly clothes, he's got a very high-pitched voice, but if you go to see them live, it's a completely different experience. It's another band I've seen a few times live, but the gig that I've picked in particular was when they were fronted by a band called Foxy Shazam, or so should I say supported. Foxy Shazam are just such a weird, unusual band. Me and my husband watched it and were like, what the hell is going on? But they came out with the weirdest instruments. The singer was singing, stood on his 2 hands with his 2 legs in the air in a handstand. They were just as weird as, I can't even tell you, but wonderful. It was a gig unlike any gig that I'd been to before, so it stands out. I've seen so many awesome gigs. I saw the Foo Fighters were awesome. I saw Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails, and they were both really disappointing. Within Temptation's a fantastic live band. Nightwish. I've seen a lot of bands a lot of times and a lot of really good gigs, but those ones stand out to me. Right, Jace, could you not have waited? Dobby, could you not have... Right, just let's ignore what's going on outside. So top 3 countries I want to visit. Now, there's 2 countries on the list that I've never been to and I long to go to. One is Canada and one is Japan. I would love to go, but obviously they're both very expensive. I've also written down Germany/Prague. I've been to both before. I went to Germany with school, but I would want to go back myself as an adult to be able to do what I want to do. German is my favourite language. I want to be able to explore all around where I want to. Prague I've been to a number of times. I just love the place and I want to go back. I've also written to the side New York. I would love to go and do all the ridiculous touristy stuff in New York. I want to do the Sex and the City tour. I want to go up the Empire State. I want to do all that really boring touristy stuff. And finally, top 3 bucket list items. So I've put as number 1 New York. I want to go to New York and do the touristy stuff. Number 2, I want to own an English Bull Terrier. I love all dogs. When I go looking for a dog at a kennels, I do always get rescue dogs. I don't have an image in my mind what dog I want. I go in, you pick what dog you fall in love with, or you pick what dog is finding the most difficulty getting a home, or whatever that may be. But there's something about English Bull Terriers, and I will have put a photograph up. I adore them, and it's the only dog in my life I will ever pay to own, and I will ever specifically choose. No other dog I've chosen has been because it's a specific breed, but I adore this dog so much that one day I will have an English Bull Terrier. And finally, the thing that I want to do more than anything else in the world is to have a book published. I have attempted to write books on numerous occasions. They turn into novellas very quickly. I think I'm much better at writing short stories and putting collections of those together. I need to get what's the word when you have to make yourself sit down and do it. And YouTube takes up a lot of time and watching other people's videos and commenting and stuff, but I need to someday stick myself away in a room, and I always found that Adagio for strings really works with getting my creative bits going, and just start writing, and one day I would love to write something and have it published. That is the dream, guys. So that is the top 3's of me tag. I dread to think how long I've been talking. I hope you find anything about that somewhat interesting. If you want to do the tag, please feel free. I would love to see your guys' answers. But thank you so much for watching today, guys. I know this has been a long one. Yeah, it's nice to have a little chat now and again, isn't it? So thanks for watching, guys. Over and out from Letterboxd.